It's a word we hear all the time: progress, development, this idea that the things should always be getting better. But have you ever really stopped to ask what development actually means? Is it just about having more money, more stuff? Well, we are about to see the real story is so much more interesting than that. No, really think about it for a second. If you had it for yourself, what would you say? Is it a bigger paycheck, a nicer car, or something else? Because it turns out that there is no simple one size fit for answer. Just take a look at these two sides of a coin. On one hand, you have symbols of modern life, high rise apartments, and on the other hand, you have the people building that world, some of whom live in the same simple shelters, right in its shadow. So, right away, you can see that progress isn't this simple, tidy thing. It is a messy, complicated picture of totally different realities existing side by side. And that really gets us to our first idea. Here, the concept of development isn't universal at all. It's deeply, deeply personal. I mean, what is giantly forward for one person could be a total disaster for someone else. Okay, so check this out. This breaks down what different people are hoping for. A landless labor. They just want more work days. They just want more work days and better pay. And a prosperous farmer, they want higher prices for what they sell, but also cheap labor. And right here, you see the problem, don't you? The farmer's progress clashes with laborer's progress. Then you have a girl from a wealthy family who wants the same freedom that her brother gets. And for an Adivasi, a tribal person, their goal might just be to not have their homes destroyed by some big new project. And this quote, it just nails it. It's not just that our goals are different, sometimes they are in direct conflict. So think about the industrialist who is pushing for a new dam. For them, that's development. Right jobs, electricity, the works, but for the people whose homes and lands are gonna be underwater, that same dam is the end of the world. And this isn't some abstract idea. This is a real photo from a real protest against a dam on the Narmada River. For these people, the big national project development means losing everything: their homes, their farms, their entire way of life. It really makes you stop and ask super tough question. Whose idea of development wins out? Okay, so if development means totally different, even conflicting things to different people, is there any common ground? Kind of is, but to get it, we have to look past the obvious thing everyone thinks of: money. If you look at our examples, the labor, the farmer, a lot of them do want more incomes, and that makes sense. It is a huge motivator for almost everyone. But is that really the whole story? Is it just about a bigger paycheck? No. We're also looking for things you just can't buy, right? Things like being treated fairly, having freedom, feeling secure, and feeling respected by others. A lot of time, these things are actually more important than just getting more cash. So, let's be real. A fact that the bank account doesn't automatically mean you have a happy life. I mean, think about it this way. Imagine you are choosing a job. One pays very well, but no security, and you will never see your family. The other one pays less, but it's stable, the people are great, and you are actually learning things. So, what do? Which job do you take? Most of us would look at the whole package, not just the salary. See, development is exactly like that. It's not just about getting richer, it's about getting a better life. Okay, so that's how it works for us as individual. Now we look at the whole package. But what about when we try to compare entire countries? This is where things get really tricky, because the main tool we use for this has a huge flaw. So the standard way to do this is something called per capita income. You just take all the income your country makes divided by the number of people you have, and you have average income. The World Bank even uses this to decide who is a rich country and a poor country. The idea is pretty simple. Higher average income means people can buy more of what they need to live well. It makes sense on the surface, but is it really that simple? So let's put this out with a little thought experiment. We have got two imaginary countries, country A and country B. And if you run the numbers, you will finally have the exact same average income, that is 10,000 a month. Okay? So, according to the official yardstick, these two countries are at the same level of development. Okay? But just look at the actual income for each person. Take your time. If you had to pick one, which country would you want to live? I am willing to bet you choose country A, right? And for a really good reason. This is the whole point. Country A is pretty equal. Everyone is doing okay. For country B, it's kind of land of extreme. You have four people who are really poor and one person who is unbelievably rich. The average is the same, but life in those two countries will feel totally different. And that's the big problem with averages. They hide what's going on with distribution. And this image, it just captures that idea perfectly, doesn't it? You can have a country with a super high average income, but that number doesn't tell you that all the wealth is concentrated in that one shiny skyscraper. While most people are living in the slum right next to it, the tall shiny building is the average. But it tells you nothing about the reality for most people living in its shadow. So let's take this idea out of the hypothetical and into the real world. That's some data from India. And this is where we get a serious plot twist. That's gonna make you question everything you thought you knew about how we measure the stuff. Let's look purely at the money. We have got three Indian states here, and on paper the winner is obvious: Haryana. Haryana has the highest per capita income, followed by Kerala with Bihar way behind. So just looking at this one number, Haryana is the clear winner, is the most developed, right? So I guess that settles it. Haryana is the most developed state, end of the story. Or maybe not. Let's peel back another layer. And boom, here's the rest of the story. Look at this. Infant mortality rate. That's how many babies out of 1,000 don't make it to their first birthday in Haryana. It's 28. But in Kerala, it's only 6. That's a huge difference. Now look at the literacy rate. Haryana, 82%. Kerala is at 94%. Let that sink in. So even though the average income in Haryana technically makes more money, people in Kerala are more likely to be able to read and their babies are way more likely to survive. So what does this tell us? It points to something very deep. It forces us to ask how. How can a state with less money on average actually be a better place to live in these really crucial ways? And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Money in your pocket cannot buy all the goods and services that you may need to live well. Basically, cash you have on your own doesn't guarantee a good life. There's something else going on. And that something else is all the stuff we do together. That's public services. No matter how rich you are, you can't buy a pollution-free bubble to live in. You can't personally buy protection from a contagious disease if it's spreading all around you. And this is why Kerala does so well. They have made a huge invest in things like public health and education system that lift everybody up. It's the stuff we can only achieve as a community. That's the real power. So where does this all leave us? We have learned that development isn't just a number. It's not just about money. Real development, true progress, is about the actual opportunities. Is about the actual opportunities we all have to live a good life. A life that we value. And that leaves us with one last thing to think, something for you to take away. And that leaves us with one last thing to think, something for you to take away. If you're gonna measure how developed your own community is, forget the official number for a second. What would you look at? What would really matter?